Welcome back to Surf Symphony's Quick Tips. My name is Ruhel. This one's kind of a bit of a different one. This is more of a kind of a surf coaching 101. And actually, before I get started, a few of you have asked about the photos that I have behind me. These are all photos that have been taken by our photographers here at the resort. So they're all out in the ocean right in front here of our guests surfing. This guy was actually in my swimming pool at my house next door the other day. Anyway, so this is a quick overview of how you should take someone in the water and give them their first lesson. This isn't really a how to approach being in the water your first time, because that requires so much nuance and so much contextual advice when you're actually in the ocean that it just doesn't lend itself to a quick 2 or 3 minute format. So I guess this video is really for people who either are starting to teach surfing as a career, or if you're someone that wants to take a partner or a friend or a child in the water for their first experience and you want them to have a positive experience. So first of all, I'll say this. A lot of that standardized first surf lesson protocols that you might have seen with a lot of the governing bodies, we don't use here, and we don't use them for a very specific reason. And I recommend that you don't necessarily follow them too, unless you really want to. They're all geared around, well, safety, of course, which is important, but they're all geared around, in terms of skills, getting you standing up on a surfboard. And that's not a really good goal for when you're taking people in the water for 2 reasons. One is that, as I hope to demonstrate in this video, it's actually just not technically the most useful way to begin surfing. But secondly, if someone's then not able to stand up, they really feel like they've failed. And conversely, if they have stood up but done everything else pretty badly, they can feel like they've succeeded when really they might not have. So, you know, we talk in other videos about how the game of surfing is not about standing up on a surfboard. It's about the game of putting your board as close to the whitewater as you can without getting stuck in the whitewater. You've only got to see Mike Stewart bodyboarding Jaws to know that it's not all about standing up. So when you take someone in the water, when we take someone in the water, we explain to them that surfing is this game of what can you get the board to do on the wave, and that one day we'll be going out the back and catching waves before they break. But for now, we're going to be in waist depth water, just catching waves into the beach. And that's really useful, not just because people can always put their feet down and they're not going to feel intimidated, but they don't have to do paddling, which gets them tired. And most importantly, they can catch a lot of waves. Now, here's the bit that's not necessarily so obvious. Once you've got them to a stage where they can look at waves, predict which ones are going to be good, i.e., you know, a nice clean wall of white water that's not coming in at funny angles and kind of doubling up. And then you've taught them how to lie on their board in the right place and get the right number of paddles, usually about 5 paddles before the wave hits them. And you've then taught them to do 3 extra paddles when the wave hits them, which they don't always need to do in the white water, but is going to be a great habit for when they start surfing out the back. Once you've taught them all that stuff, the next thing you want to teach them is not how to spring up to their feet. The next thing you want to teach them is this. On the surfboard, you've got all of these secret buttons, these invisible pressure pads, and when you press them, when you put your weight on them, the board does different things. The first thing you want to teach them is that when you slide your weight right back and the nose goes up in the air and the tail digs in, 2 things happen. One is that the board stabilizes. If it was going to nosedive, the nose will come up. If it's going wonky, the board will go straight. So we often think of it as kind of a safety position. That's really confidence building for people. The second thing we want them to notice is that when they slide their weight right back and put it all over the fins so that the nose comes up, it acts like a brake and the board starts to slow down. Depending on how powerful the wave is, they may or may not lose the wave, but you want them to notice that this is the brake. So you want them to start sliding right back, so now they feel really confident that they're not going to lose control of the board. And also, you want them to notice that the board starts to slow down a little bit. Once the nose is then up in the air, what they can then do is start leaning on the side, and with the weight back and the nose in the air, you've now already got them doing carving turns. And by carving turns, I mean not the trimming turns where you lean on the side and the board banks a little bit more the way that it's already going. I mean carving turns where you lift the nose up and you actually do a radical change of direction. You can be going right and you can turn left. You can be about to run into someone going left and you can turn the board right again. I'm sure that you've all seen people who haven't surfed much before start to trim left or trim right and then start to be confused as the board can't change direction and they half climb off and then the board tips over. So once you've taught them to slide back, that won't happen anymore and that will make them feel really, really confident. So you've taught your new first-time surfer where the stabilizer is, but you've taught them it's also a brake, and you've taught them that it's a steering wheel. And you've taught them how to slide forwards and accelerate the board. And you've taught them how to have fun playing with where the sweet spot of the wave is. And now they've started to hopefully put together in their mind the idea that what they're doing when they're just riding these whitewater waves lying down is that they're playing a game. And the game is, when I go back, I can steer. And when I go forwards, I can accelerate. But I can't change direction and accelerate at the same time. And now they're starting to understand the game of surfing. What you can get them to do next is start to angle their takeoffs and go down the line. So you get them to angle their board just very slightly, just from 6 o'clock to maybe 6:30 or 7 or to 5:30 or 5, depending on whether you're going left or right. And then you get them to lean on the rail of the board as they go down the line. And you show them this really bizarre phenomenon of riding waves, which is that the more sideways the board is going, the further up the surfboard you can be. That's what hanging 10 is, or at least that's part of it. So you've got the board really sideways on the wave, and then you can show them how they can slide right up to the nose. But this time, unlike when they were doing the exercise of sliding up and down when they were going straight into the beach, this time they don't need to slide up just for a second until they feel it accelerate and then slide back. This time they can stay up near the nose of the board in a way that feels almost like a magic trick. And as long as they keep leaning into the wave, as long as they're engaging the rail and using that whole rail of the board like one big fin, biting into the water and taking them off down the line, they'll suddenly find that A, they can hang up around up in the nose without it nosediving, and B, they can go much faster than the wave's going, because now they're going the speed that the wave's going into the beach, plus the speed they're going along the wave, and they will love it. Everyone that I do that with the first time, they're so shocked that they're still lying down, they're still in the whitewater, and suddenly they're going twice as fast. Now, if they're good, and this doesn't usually happen on the first session, but you can get them to start to match these two skills together. You can get them to angle their takeoff, engage the rail, slide really far forward, and surf down the line of the wave in the whitewater. And now that they've got more speed than that they had when they were going in straight, it means they can go back for longer and do a bigger carving change of direction. They've got more speed to burn. Speed is kind of like our cash, and turns are what we can buy with it. So now you can have your surfer still without standing up, angling their board, going down the line, engaging the rail, sliding really, really far forwards. And then when they're going as fast as they think the wave's possibly going to go, they can slide right to the back of the board, do a big carving change of direction, maybe even throw up a little spray, turn the board around, and then see if they can slide forwards and start going the other way down the line. I know people that have surfed for like 10 or 15 years that still don't know how to do that, let alone do it physically, conceptually. They still don't really understand how that would work, and they just stay in the center of the board feeling like they're standing up and they're doing it successfully. So if you're taking someone out in the water, before you even get into standing up, and we'll do stance in another video, or at least in several videos because there's a lot there, encourage them to understand how to stall, carve, change directions, slide forward and accelerate, how to engage the rail, surf down the line, and then do a carving, essentially a cutback, right, and change direction, and then accelerate forwards and go down the line the other way. They'll have so much more fun, and they'll feel so much safer and more confident. And if they're someone that hasn't maybe got the agility or the physical strength to stand up, they're still going to really enjoy it. Okay, I hope that was something that you found helpful. To find out more about our coaching courses, go to surfsimply.com, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for joining me. Bye.